Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode number 6 of our Lenten devotional series on hope. I want to talk today about hope as it's found through the church. There's some verses in 1 Peter, in Peter's first letter, where Peter talks about who we are, both as individuals and as a community, as a church. In 1 Peter chapter 2, Peter writes, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to God, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are the people of God. Once you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy." He goes on a verse or two later. "Live such good lives among the pagans that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day he visits us." Like I said, Peter is talking about us living in this now and not yet that I talked about a couple of devotions ago, how we have been redeemed, how we now are God's people, while still living in this world, anticipating something yet to come. And as we do that, we live not just as individuals, but we live as a community. And Peter has both of those ideas in these verses. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, thinking of us as individuals, but also a holy nation, a people, a group, a community belonging to God. He's talking about the church. He's talking about us together as God's people. And what does that mean for us now as we're living as the church? As we live out the hope that we have in the context of this current world. True confession, one of the books that I'm kind of basing some of these devotions on is by Tim Keller, Hope in Times of Fear, the resurrection and the meaning of Easter. He's got some great thoughts in here about the kind of hope that we have. And one of the chapters, he talks about colonies of heaven. What he's talking about is what it looks like in this world when Christians work together as a community, as the church, as the body of Christ. Because we're living in this now and not yet, we are God's people still waiting for what is to come. As we gather together, as we work together, as we serve together, what does it look like? It looks like little colonies of heaven. We're citizens of heaven, still living here. As citizens of heaven, we gather together to bring the hope of heaven, to bring the joy of heaven, to bring the peace of heaven down into this world in real tangible ways. We're sort of outposts. Outposts in enemy territory is one way that C.S. Lewis puts it in one of his books. But our purpose here is not just to take care of ourselves and to make sure we remain faithful, although that's important as well. It's not just to teach ourselves and encourage one another, but it's also to be outposts of God's kingdom, to show what God's kingdom looks like to the rest of the world. The church is a different kind of organization. We talked about this a little bit a couple of weeks ago. We talked about politics, how we're based not on power, but on service. And Peter talks about that also in that verse in chapter 2, in verse 12. He says, "Live such good lives among the pagans," that is, non-Christians, "that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day that he visits us." I think what he's getting at here is, as we live as God's people, especially as we live as the church, we bring heaven down to earth in our communities, through our congregation, living together under God's kingdom, under his way of living, as opposed to the world's way of living. And people that aren't part of the church are going to look at us, they're going to see something different, and then one day, when Christ returns, they're going to recognize God's kingdom, because everybody's going to see it on that day. And they're going to say, you know, I remember seeing a reflection of that years ago in that church down the street. That's Peter's prayer for us. And that's our task as God's people, as the church. The hope that we have as a church is that we can bring Christ's hope into this world in real tangible ways, one way or another, to be a colony of heaven in the middle of East Lansing. That could look a lot of different ways. What that looks like in detail, we'll talk about some more over the next few devotions. But I want you to think about how we can be, as God's people, bringers of hope, as a colony of heaven in this community. Again, read 1 Peter chapter 2. It's verses 9 through 12 is what I was looking at. And I'll look forward to talking to you again about what a colony of heaven might do and what hope we might bring to different situations in our world next time. God be with you.